Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is your girl, Tanya K. Austin, better known as Coach Tanya. Today, I have something awesome for you. It is an introduction to my 5-week course for awakening your true mind and taking a spiritual journey of mindset shifting. So, in this 5-week course, you're going to learn to overcome the emotional struggles to manifest physical blessings. So, before I get started, I definitely want to welcome you all to the 60-minute webinar that I have for you. This webinar, I suggest you get your pen and your paper because it's going to be filled with plenty of information for you to gather and collect for you to make a decision about whether you're going to join this program or not. So, before I get started, of course, I like to always introduce myself and the trauma recovery room about how I got started and where all of this came from. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tanya K. Austin. I am a spiritual life coach as well as a mindset coach and a trauma recovery coach. I do a lot of other things, but those are the things that I'll focus on today. Um, Within that development or discovering who I was, I had to take the journey myself of awakening my own true mind. And in that journey, it started off from when I was a kid and I had a very traumatic or not so healthy childhood. Emotionally, it was very toxic. It was very traumatic. I was emotionally abandoned. I did not feel loved. I was not given the proper amount of attention, validation, approval, and all of those things, acceptance. For whatever reasons that my parents went through, they had their own struggles. But all in all, it guided me to believe certain things about myself that were not true, such as that I didn't deserve love. My parents had a very, very, very toxic marriage, and it showed me that abuse was okay. So I learned that mindset that accepting abuse was normal. Being called out of my name was normal. No, not being called a bitch is not normal. No, not being choked is not normal. No, not being cheated on is not normal. So all of those things I had to discover throughout my own life's journey, where I actually ended up in a very toxic and narcissistically abusive relationship, which I got out of, thank God. It was a 2.5 year relationship where I learned so much about myself. And in my journey of trying to fix him, I discovered how to fix myself. And on that journey, I developed the business that I now call the Trauma Recovery Room, which is actually a platform for those who have experienced emotional trauma, whether in your childhood or anywhere in your life, and you're struggling with the processes of overcoming those emotional struggles and just having somewhere for you to go and a platform for you to use and to find the resources and the tools that you need so that you can get through your journey and learn more about yourself, better about yourself, and so you can walk into that purpose of who you really are and unfold and unpeel and unveil your true self. And it definitely starts with awakening your mind. I do have this mission that I am on, and I wish you guys would definitely join me in my cause of awakening a million minds because I believe that so many of us are just dead to who we really are. And once we have new information to dispute the old information in our minds, and we're going to talk about all of that throughout this webinar today, but if we have new information that we implant and input into those pockets of the brain that remembers things, then we can challenge those old thoughts and create new thoughts and patterns of behavior so that we can have a better life. So today in this workshop, I am so excited. Oh my God, I am so excited. I want to uh definitely again thank you for joining me today because I do know that so many of us struggle with just changing our minds and we struggle with overcoming those toxic thoughts that we have in our mind, those thoughts that constantly every day all day just bombard our thoughts and bombard our feelings and bombard our heart and just take over our world to where we oftentimes don't have control over what's going on. So when we learn to overcome those struggles and tackle those things and get down to the root cause of everything, we begin to open up the truth of who we really are. I'm going to tell you a story, and this story is definitely an eye opener. It was an eye opener for me. It was the path that I just recently actually am sometimes and oftentimes still find myself going through, as many of us learn when we're going through our awakening process, that it's an everyday constant process. So there is no one course or there's no one program that'll just change it all instantly. But there is the constant inputting of information that allows us to continue to grow and develop. So every day we grow and develop. So I went through the most, again, and I talk about my relationship with my narcissistically abusive husband, or ex-husband, excuse me. I have to get used to saying ex-husband, but I talk about him because it helps me to understand myself more. And in understanding myself more, it helps me to understand other people that are going through the same things. Because in that process of learning why I was in that toxic relationship, because my belief is nothing happens for just a fluke. Everything happens for a reason. Everything is strategic. Everything is already predestined on how it should turn out. Now, we do have this thing called free will where we get to make choices and we get to shift things and change things and create things through our mind and what we think about and how we feel and what we say. But when we can understand our power, we can overcome so many things that has gotten in our way, and we can remove those things and take them away from our thought process as blockages that are keeping us from whatever it is that we're supposed to be doing. So with this webinar today, I am definitely going to allow you to do three things, and within those three things, we'll have a facet or array of other things that you're going to learn as well. But definitely, you're going to learn how the mind works. You're going to get an understanding of how the mind works. And in the workings of the mind, you'll begin to see on the inside the intricate details of how you can tap into your superpowers. That's number two. So you're going to learn to tap into your superpowers, because when you tap into your mind and you peel back those layers and you see what it is, so you're like a surgeon. When you see what it is that's going on, you can begin to implant those things that need to be there so that your mind can function the way that it should. So number one, you're going to understand how the mind works. Two, you're going to be able to tap into your own superpowers. And number three, you're going to do all of that by getting to the root of whatever it is that's controlling your thoughts and your behaviors. So once you learn what it is that is keeping you from making better choices, once you learn what it is that is preventing you from prospering and moving forward, and you learn the skills and the tools on how to fix it, you can begin to awaken your mind to another level of the truth of who you are. So I'm just going to take a little 30-second break. I want you guys to go ahead and grab your pen and papers, and I will be right back. Okay, so welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome to Awaken Your True Mind. So you have learned the three things that we are going to do. So I just want to ask you a few things, and you'll know if this course is for you. You'll know if this program is for you. You'll know if you'll be able to manifest anything that you set yourself out to, just by knowing these three things or being relatable to these three things. One, are you struggling with your mindset and it leaves you feeling defeated? If you are constantly struggling in your mind and you're being left felt defeated, then this course is definitely for you. Number two, are you overcoming life's challenges, but they're a bit difficult? Or you're trying to overcome life's challenges, but they're a bit difficult, and you need some spiritual guidance. You need some revelation. You need some tools to be able to fight this spiritual warfare or this mental battle, this emotional battle that you're going through. If that's the case, then this course is definitely for you. Are you tired of those negative thoughts that pop into your mind, that negative spirit, those negative memories, all of that thing that reminds you of the painful experiences of your past, or some relatable experience that keeps you stuck in a place of fear? If that is you, then this course is definitely for you. If you are tired of losing, if you are tired of missing out on those things that are meant for you, if you are frustrated with the thought of not being able to receive what it is that God has for you, then you are definitely in the right place. Because when you discover that there is so much more for you, when you realize that there is an awakening that's inside of you that is just dying to come out, then you can awaken your mind and therefore create the life that you were designed to live. So we're going to talk about the mind, and I hope you guys have your pen and papers right now and grab your cup. I forgot to tell you to grab your cup with some tea, because we're going to spill the tea about yourself today. So in this workshop, you're going to learn the 4 layers of the mind and how they play out into our lives. So technically there are 3 layers of the mind, but the fourth layer that I've discovered is a layer that many people don't even get to because they don't go that far. And in that particular fourth layer is the ultimate or the maximum layer where you actually manifest and definitely surpass the tapping into your superpowers, where you manifest those superpowers and you actually walk that superpower filled life out. So the first layer of the mind that we're going to talk about is the conscious layer of the mind. And the 4 layers of the mind are conscious, subconscious, unconscious, and superconscious. So the first part that we're going to talk about is the conscious layer of the mind. And I'm just going to briefly go through this before I break everything down, because this is just like an outline or an overview. But the first part of the first layer is the conscious part. That is the right now part of the mind. That is the part of the mind where you can actually see what is going on in your life, or what is going on that you can physically touch right now. That's the part of the mind that tells you, oh, that you see a YouTube symbol, you see the sign on here that says awakening your true mind. That is the part of the mind that is in the here, the now, and it is consciously telling you what is going on in your life. Now, oftentimes in this conscious mindset, we see things that are happening in our lives, but we don't quite know what it is or where it stems from. And that takes us to the second layer, which is the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the thoughts and behaviors that shape and mold, the thoughts and behaviors that are shaped and molded from our experiences from our past, or from some past experience. And it could be a recent past experience. It doesn't have to be specifically from the childhood. That's actually in the next layer, in the unconscious mind. But the subconscious mind is the thoughts and behaviors that you have that stem from your past experiences, where you've developed a mindset on how to deal with certain things from then on out. Now, the unconscious layer, which is the third layer, that deals with childhood experiences that shaped and molded your thought process. of the subconscious mind. Particularly in the unconscious mind is where we have those blockages that have been implanted into our minds that affect us on a conscious level. Let me say that again. Those things that we experience in our unconscious state when the unconscious mindset was developing, they are what shapes and molds our thoughts, the patterns of our behaviors that we exemplify later in life, that shape and mold our experiences that we currently have, that lead us to the life that we have today. So, what you see today stems from a belief system, a pattern of thoughts, or a pattern of behaviors that you've exemplified. So, there are three things that the mind does. Number one, it is for thinking. Number two, it is for feeling. And number three, it is for the wants, the desires of our hearts and the true desires of our true nature. So, how our thoughts are created and how we can change them is definitely what this course is going to do. It's going to help you to shift your mindset so that you can become empowered to know and explore you. And also so that you can identify your own superpowers and walk in that purpose. So with this course, I also want to add that you will be also invited to a live Q&A where we will go over what you've learned in this webinar. And for those of you who are interested in joining the 5-week course, where you can ask the questions that you may have from either this webinar or from some post that you may have seen or something else that you want to do. So, struggling with those fears that continue to be unknown to you creates insecurities within you that you naturally, truly desire to overcome. And from that desire, your mind wants you to let go of your past and to forget those painful experiences. So, again, let me go back to telling my story. So, I went through the most painful experience. And it could be less painful than somebody else's or more painful, but for me, it was painful. In that experience, I learned so much about myself. And again, I said before, in me trying to change him and trying to fix him and trying to figure out what's wrong with him and help him, I learned so much about narcissism, so much about codependency, so much about boundaries, so much about self love, so much about just being single and embracing what it is that life has to offer. I was so scared in my mind. I had this mindset that being alone was scary because I had this thought process that if I didn't have somebody, that I would not equate to anything. I wouldn't amount to anything. I wouldn't become anything. I wouldn't be anybody. I had in my mind that I needed a man to define me, that I needed a man to protect me. And it all boiled down to those specific things that I endured or experienced as a child. And because those experiences actually shaped and molded my thoughts, I stayed in a toxic relationship. But God is so good. God is so good that He used my disobedience, because I won't lie, He told me not to get in that relationship, but He used my disobedience to teach me, because there was something that was greater within me that I needed to pull out. It was time for me to pull it out. And had I not gone through that tough marriage, I would not be sitting here talking to you today. I probably wouldn't. I'm pretty sure I would. I would still be doing what it is that I was doing, living an unhappy life, not creating from my true self, and not living a full life of peace, not living a full life of love, and not even knowing who the hell I am. So, in that discovery, I learned how the mind works. I learned how things that I went through as a child, how they actually work in my mindset and how I was actively playing a part in all of that. I learned how to twist things around so that I could see them from a different perspective that was greater than the one that I had been submitting myself to. I learned that it was time for me to explode into to develop into who it is that I wanted to be, because deep down my soul knew that there was more to me than what was me, what was being seen and what was being shown in what I was doing, because in my mind I was very limited in my thinking. And because I was limited in my thinking, I was limited in my doing. And because I was limited in my doing, I was limited in my being. And because I was limited in my being, I wasn't living the life that I was purposed to live. And you see, God gave us not the spirit of fear. And I had to overcome that fear of whatever it is that was holding me back. And what was holding me back was the false belief that I wasn't worthy. I had to dig down deep into that false belief, and I had to peel back them layers of my mindset and to see that I was worthy. And when I began to see that I was worthy, my life began to change. And how I began to see that I was worthy was I took the time, I put in the work, and the things that I take you through in this 5 week course is what I actually went through. The things that I show you and the things that I reveal to you are a part of what it took for me to get to where I am today. And because I took those steps and because I investigated myself and evaluated myself and tested myself and loved on myself and talked to myself and preached to myself and nurtured myself, I was able to get into that place and get into that realm of manifesting what it is that God had for me to manifest, and not just living life day to day, wandering and lost in a wilderness that I wasn't even supposed to be in anymore. Because you see, God will take us through that wilderness, but we don't. He doesn't take us there to stay there. He just takes us there to get through it so that we can see what it is that we need to see. So when we get on the other side, we will be seeing things from a different perspective. So that struggle that you endure, I had to endure. I overcame that struggle. And because I invested in learning the tools, I was able to uncover what it is that gave me the power to do what I needed to do. So, the mind and how it works. The mind is where all the power connections, the wiring, the storing, the memory, and the processing for the functionality of us as human beings. That's what the mind does. So it helps us to store information so that we can remember it for future experiences. It helps us to create memories so that we can hold on to them and use them as a basis for future time sets that come. And it helps us to process. And in the processing moment is where many of us get stuck, because in our unconscious mind is where we've experienced things that tamper with that process. So you can experience one thing and somebody else can experience the same thing. And the way you process it is completely different based off of the life experiences that you have had. So the brain is, so imagine a computer. The brain would be the hardware. The mind is the software. The mind is the operating system. It is how, it is how we learn to operate and function in this world. The mind is what keeps us on top of whatever it is that we need to know. The mind is the most powerful computer in the world. God gave us dominion over all the things on this earth, except other people, that is. But in that power, in that dominion, he says that we can rule the forces of nature. How do we do that? through our minds. God gave us the spirit of a sound mind. What is a sound mind? It is the ability to make clear, focused, precise decisions using our free will, meaning that it's a choice. Struggle is a choice. Using our free will, we can make clear, concise decisions about our life. God has equipped us with everything that we need to get through every situation that we're faced with. And because our mind is the key to ruling the forces of nature, we have to learn how to awaken it. We have to learn to awaken the true mind, that true superconscious mind that will keep you manifesting the powerful being that you are, the manifester that you are. The superconscious mindset will help you to manifest all that your heart desires. So the mind being the operating system, it is where you gather information, store information, and manage information so that you can process all of that with your brain. So again, God gave us the power over the forces of nature by use of our minds. That is how powerful our mind is. When God says that it is how we rule, it is powerful. And in ruling the forces of nature, there are some things that you have to know how to do. So you can pretty much guess what your superpower is, correct? It's your mind. Your mind, it is the way you think, it is what you think about, and it is how often you think of that thing. Thoughts that we have in our minds stem from previous experiences that leads to certain emotions that then leads to behaviors which ultimately leads to consequences and outcomes. Thoughts are energy. The universe operates off of energy. Our mind holds our thoughts. Therefore, our mind is an energetic force that communicates to the universe what we want to see in our worlds. Our thoughts create our world. Our thoughts manifest our world. What you see today came from a thought you had in your mind. Those things that we think of, that we focus on, that we constantly dwell on, we are giving energy to. God moves off of our faith. Our faith is based off of what we think. Our thoughts are energy. If we have faith, which is a thought that God is going to service us, take care of us, and provide for us, then we are creating the energy in the universe for that to happen. The universe listens to our voice. What we say, what we think, what we feel is controlled and spoken into the universe. It is controlled through our tongues. They say the tongue has the power to kill or create life. It has the power to destroy a dream or give life to a dream. What you say is what you think. What you think is what's in your heart. What's in your heart is based off of your thought process and how you process the things that you've gone through. So what we think creates the things we see and manifest. So what does your life look like? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you frustrated? Are things not going right? What are you thinking? Are you speaking into life the things that you see today. I can definitely tell you from my experience of manifesting and looking back at how powerful our tongue is and how powerful our thought process is and how it actually does create and manifest what we say. Every single relationship I was ever in, I thought that the man was going to cheat on me. In every single relationship, that's what happened because that's where I placed my focus. That's where I had my mindset developed on and honing on and nurturing on and feeding and giving energy to. And that gave the universe the opportunity to create those experiences. And being in relationships with weak minded men who were not able to have self control, they fell for it every time. And when in my last relationship, I discovered that I was creating all of that through my mindset, I began to see things differently and speak things differently. Because at that point, I realized that I had the power to get rid of this man out of my life by speaking it into existence. So, what are you speaking into existence? What behaviors did you have prior to this manifestation that you're looking at now in your life? What were you doing? How are you feeling? What energy was you giving out into the universe? Because we have to understand that our script for our life is what we say. What we say connects to the universe, and the universe maps out that script. So if you say that you're always broke, guess what? The universe is going to map out that script. It's going to always create situations where you're always broke, where you're always losing, where you're always lacking. Instead, say, I am rich. I am wealthy. I have everything that I need. And you continue to feel that energy, live that energy, even if your means are low, still appreciate and be grateful for whatever it is that you have. And you feed that energy into the universe instead. And then watch and see what manifestations come your way. So, as long as you know that your mind got you to where you are, you can become in control of the processes of your mind. You can get better at allowing yourself to be trained to think a different way because your thoughts create your reality. So, that in knowing that, you can begin to create better memories to attach to the same situations so that you can create better energy and insert it into the universe. So the conscious mind, again, is the right now awareness of what it is that you're going through in your life. So let's look at your conscious mind. What is it that you see? Me, I'm divorced. I am single again, and I am back to square one. That's what I see. Now, have I not experienced the things that I've gone through? I would think that that's a bad thing. But because I've tapped into my superpowers and because I've learned that everything is the way it is and all things are in divine order, I now see this as an opportunity for me to explore and get better. I used to think from a negative perspective. I used to think that this was the worst place to ever be in one's life, single, because again, I thought in my mind that I needed a man to define me. I thought that I needed a man to say that it was okay for me to go be me. And if I failed, that I could depend on that man to bail me out. And it would be his fault. If I did fail and he didn't bail me out, I could blame it on him. So subconsciously, it was all about me ultimately not thinking that I was good enough or able to do what it is that I really needed to do. Because I was taught as a kid to be dependent. I was taught to take care of others and put myself on the back burner, ignore my needs, and to address the needs of other people because in doing that, I would show them love. And that's how I would get my love from a secondary perspective. No, that's not how we're supposed to live. Your love comes from within. And when I discovered that, I was able to consciously make better choices. So I peeled back that layer of understanding of what was going on, and I was able to better discover ways of handling things. So the subconscious mind, again, is the stored memories and patterns of thoughts and behavior. So in this single stage, I can take the time now to see where my faults are, see what I need to grow in, see where I need to learn and develop, and grow and go from there. The subconscious mind now, and this is how you apply these levels or these layers of your mindset in your everyday life. The subconscious mind now in my singlehood gives me the opportunity to explore. So that way, when I get another relationship, I'll consciously be able to make better decisions, including and most importantly, picking a better mate. So my subconscious thinking, I peel back those layers and I began to realize that the relationship that I had with my father was ultimately the reason that I was attracting these toxic men in my life. Because the relationship I had with my father, I wanted to fix it. I wanted to repair it. I wanted his approval. I wanted his acceptance. I wanted his love. I wanted to not feel humiliated. I wanted to not be shamed. I wanted to not be embarrassed. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to be valued and appreciated. I didn't get that from my father in that particular situation. And oftentimes throughout the relationship we had, because he was very, my father was 50 years old when I was born. So he was not like involved in my life outside of financially. So I didn't have that emotional love and support that I should have had. And I always look for that in the men in my life. I always look for that to come from the men in my life. So it was that traumatic experience in my childhood that unconsciously shaped my subconscious thoughts. So then I go into my unconscious where I had to dig deep. And in awakening my mind, I had to dig deep and see where all of that was coming from. So I had to energetically clear myself. I had to energetically understand myself. And I had to spiritually and mentally focus on only me. So in my separation from that toxic man, I was able to dig deep and peel back so many layers of my mind and to get down to the truth of why I even picked that relationship in the first place. Towards the end of the relationship, I actually wrote a book. It's called My Secret Life, which is an anthology of writers where we talk about our experiences with traumatic or, with toxic relationships. And in my portion of the book, I go back into my childhood and where I talk about things that I went through that gave me the mindset to which led me up to that particular relationship. And I look back over the course of my adulthood life and even my young teenage life. My very first real relationship was abuse. We were fighting. It was only a couple of times, but there was violent verbal abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, infidelity. That was at 16, 17. Because at that time, it was normal to me. Even though it wasn't normal, but it was normal. Because the first time he called me out my name, I was appalled by it. But I was looked at like a stranger because I got appalled off of it. So I immediately, in my social circle of friends, I began to accept abuse. And all of that played a part in my thinking, in my feeling, and in my wanting. So the mind has three functions: the thinking, the feeling, the wanting. When we think about something too much, it's called overthinking. And that is simply us worrying about being perfect. That is us simply not trusting God and not trusting the universe. The feelings that we have that come from those thoughts stem from a particular event in the first place. The thought that we develop from a specific event creates those feelings. And inside those feelings, we have true wants and desires that we either want to fix something or we either want to heal from something or whatever it is that we want. The mind helps us to figure all of that out. So, in my own discovery of why I was thinking a certain way about men or acting a certain way in relationships and attracting certain men in my life, I had to come to grips with it all boiled down to my mind and what I was thinking. So I became empowered by overcoming anxiety, learning about anxiety, overcoming worry, and ultimately overcoming fear. Because these three things, anxiety, worry, and fear, play a definite major part in the things that we do or don't do, and in our thoughts and behaviors of how we live our lives. They actually control our thoughts and behaviors. And once you get to why you're anxious about something, why you're worried about something, and worry is just definitely you not having faith in God and you not having faith in the ability of yourself. And fear is not of God. So what we fear, God didn't give us the spirit of fear. He didn't give us the spirit of fear. He gave us the spirit of love, of a sound mind, and courage. He gave us the ability to face our challenges, because remember, everything that we are faced with in life, we have a solution to that problem. There's always a solution. Where there's a will, there's a way. God has the will, He will create the way. And when we can overcome our anxiety, and when we overcome our worry, and when we overcome that fear, we can begin to awaken the trueness of our mindset and of our true nature. So the mind is our power play in the universe. It is our golden ticket to success. The mind has such a power to it that it shifts and moves us energetically. It connects to the universe, and therefore it begins to physically create and manifest the things that we want in our lives. So when you can learn to shift that mindset, when you can learn to cut it on, and when you learn how to cut it on, that's when you learn the power and the true essence of yourself. So your mind power is your superpower. It is definitely what separates you from everybody else. It is what makes you shine. So, what is in your mind that is different from other people? What is it that is in your mind that is dying to come out, but it is blocked by a false belief that is in an under layer of your mind? So, you know that you are able to achieve and receive certain things. You know that you're worthy of love, but you struggle with the concept of accepting love because you were traumatized in a previous relationship. And because you were previously traumatized in a relationship, it reminds you of a past experience from your childhood in the same way. And you're unable to shift that mindset because now you're doing a self-fulfilling prophecy where you're creating toxic and broken relationships over and over and over again, and you're believing that this is your prophecy, this you're believing that this is your destiny, you're believing that this is it for you, and it's not. But when you can shift that thought process, you know what, I made a bad choice in choosing the last person because I didn't take the time to sit and know and learn myself, know what I like, know what I don't like, and go after what it is that I want. I failed in this business because I didn't sit down and investigate what it is that the people really want, or who I even wanted to serve. I was able to overcome my trials and tribulations because I sat down and figured out where they even came from. You see how the mind works. When you change your mind, you can change your life. So, mind plus imagine plus your works is how your dreams come true. Your imagination is your mind. The imagination that you have is your mind in the future being revealed to you. What you imagine yourself having is already predestined for you. You can have it, you just have to put in the work to get it. And when you can learn to adjust your mindset, to shift it into a different way of thinking and a different way of going, then it'll lead your works down the path to manifesting what it is that you're dreaming of. So your mind power is your attention, your mental images, and your thoughts. Because again, remember, thoughts are energy. Thoughts are energy. So in the 5-week program that I have, you will be shown how to face your fears. You'll be shown how to face your insecurities. You'll be shown how to work through them through the process of changing your mind. You'll be given tools and strategies on how to sit down and map out what it is that you need to do step by step. Because in each step, there's a new force of energy that you're giving into the universe, which is allowing it to manifest a lot more for you. So, how we do this in the 5-week course, we use inner child healing. And what inner child healing is, we take you back to that source place, to that child that is wounded. For me, it was me standing there in front of my father, calling me the dumbest child in the world, and getting through those wounds that came about from that, and me coaching myself and reparenting myself and telling myself that no, I'm not the dumbest child in the world. I'm not even stupid, and rehearsing that over and over again and retraining my thought process and feeding that child or that sore or that wounded soul what it is, the love and the protection that it needed, that it didn't get at the time, and rewriting that story so that I can see things from a different perspective. So now when I'm challenged with tough situations, I can take a step back and no longer operate from that place of fear or insecurity or doubt or shame or humiliation or embarrassment or whatever. I no longer have to operate from the thought process that I'm not worthy, because damn it, I am, and you are too. Everybody is. Go through the motions of unpeeling and peeling back those layers of the hurt and pain. You'll discover your own worth. And that's what this course is going to help you do. And that inner child reparenting experience is going to put you in a new mindset so that you can begin to feed off of that new mindset. You'll see things differently. Therefore, you'll feel things differently, do things differently, respond differently, speak differently, produce different energy, and get different results. We're also going to use some cognitive behavior therapy, which is similar to the inner child, but it's not so much the inner child as you like sitting, it's like you sitting on the couch with a therapist and they're hypnotizing you and talking to you. The cognitive behavior therapy is more so preparation for the inner child healing. It's just a series of questions that get you to rethink things, to see things from a different perspective, to see things cognitively using your thoughts from a different level. So energetically, you can produce different results in your life. We're also going to do shadow work. And in the shadow work, that is you digging down into those deep, dark places of your soul, of yourself, of your being. And we're going to tap into those parts. And we're going to figure out why they exist. We're going to tap into those parts so that you can erase those parts of your mind that no longer serve you and replace them with things that do. We're going to do some chakra healing as well. And again, if for those of you who are not familiar with chakra, there are 7 chakras in the body, which are pretty much energetic portals from the body to the universe that pour out and pour in healing and loving energy. And when those chakras are blocked, that's where we tend to not receive love. That's where we tend to not be able to move forward from our past pain. That's where we tend to not be able to change our mindsets. So in the mind, with the chakras, the crown chakra particularly, and the third eye chakra is where you have an understanding of who you are and you're able to be confident in that understanding. We talk about self-esteem, the 6 parts of the self that need to be healed: self-esteem, self-love, self-confidence, and 2 others. Actually, it's 7 because I added another one. So we'll talk about that. Self-efficacy. All of those parts of the self are awakened through unblocking and clearing your chakras. And when you clear the chakras, you clear your mindset and you free that negative energy from your mind so that new positive energy can start pouring into it. And when you pour into your mind, you pour into your body, you pour into your spirit, you pour into your soul. Because your subconscious mind is actually your soul. That's the part of you that knows what it is that you're supposed to do. That's the part of you that wants to do right. But that unconscious or conscious part, the conscious part would be you wearing the mask for you showing a fake facade. But that unconscious part is really that mask unpeeled. The subconscious part is you working through the unpeeling and recognizing that there is a mask and healing from all of it. The soul wants to connect with the superconscious, which is conscious, the God conscious in you. That is where you ultimately want to reach to. And many people don't even talk about this because they never make it to this level. The super conscious part is where you reach into the intuitive part, where you pray and you know that you are a part of something greater than yourself. And you know that you are being operated and manifested through a greater source and a greater power. You know that you're not on this path by yourself, and you've surrendered to the authority of source and the authority of the universe. You've even surrendered to the authority of your own mindset, because in the superconscious mindset, you know your own power and you don't question it. You don't doubt it. You don't test it. You don't seek for signs, because you know you are the sign. You know that there are other parts of this world that God has in store for you. And you know that super consciously, you can feel it, you can see it, you can smell it, you can touch it, you can taste it. You know that it is you. So that super conscious mindset is that God-like mindset. It is that connection you have with God and source and universe. And how you use it is how you begin to create the life that you really want. So this 5-week course digs deep into all of that. You understand the mind. You go root digging so that you can get down to the root cause of all of the issues that you encounter today. You recycle those roots. You know how you digging up roots from a garden, and you're getting out the old roots that are choking the new ones, and you're setting them free, and you're replanting it in new mud, new dirt, and watering it. That's what you're going to do with your mind. You're going to replant those new thoughts, and you're going to set intentional harvest. And with the intentional harvest is when you that's when you tap into your superconscious and your superpower, and you start mapping out that path that God has for you. That's when you are confident in yourself and your ability, because your mind has been awakened to the trueness of who you are. You no longer doubt who you you are. You let go of those false belief systems. You learn to control your mind on a different level so that you become free emotionally. You know what I mean? You become able to emotionally grip what it is that has been gripping you spiritually. You're able to, David, grab a hold of what it is that is going to kill and destroy your Goliath. Your mindset is the tool that you use to destroy your Goliath. And this 5-week course is going to help you do that. It's going to help you tap into your superconscious, your superpowers, and destroy your Goliath. So, in overcoming your emotional struggles, you begin to manifest physically the things that your heart truly, truly desires, those blessings that God has for you. They begin to meet you at that crossroad and show you that there's so much more beyond it. So, in letting go of past hurts and past pains, you are able to free yourself emotionally, you are able to open yourself up to a new awareness of your true divine self. And what's more fabulous than opening up to your true divine self? It's nothing greater in the world. And God has that for you. The key to you to unlocking that door of emotional freedom is behind this 5 week course. And again, 5 weeks is definitely not going to just totally and completely erase everything, but it will definitely give you the blueprint, the step by step map for you to use even after the 5 weeks have ended. Because what I do is I give you the blueprint in writing. You get to keep everything that you learn. With the 5 week course, you are going to have the weekly Q&A, weekly lives. We're going to have weekly coaching sessions. You're going to get through each particular subject, each week's subject. You're going to get through strategically because we're going to sit down and map out everything. Each facet, each step will be strategically mapped out. I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to guide you through this process. I'm going to help you help yourself. And when you understand that your reality is created through your mind, and when you understand that your mind has the power to tell the universe what to bring to you, and when you learn that all it takes is a shift in your thoughts, a shift in your beliefs, and a shift in your spirit, then you will be on the path of emotional freedom, happiness, joy, peace, love. Love yourself. Invest in yourself. This 5 week course is definitely worth it. So, what you're going to do in order to register for this 5 week course, you're going to go on this website that you see scrolling on the bottom of the page. And on that website, you're going to go where it says services and rates. And you're going to book a coaching session with me. It's free. You get 45 minutes of coaching where we strategically come up with a plan for you and how you can manifest your life streams, how you can awaken your true mind. We're going to go through my blueprint and we're going to map out what it is that you need to do and how you can do it. You'll walk away empowered and at least knowing where your problem lies, even if you don't sign up for the 5 week course. This particular 45-minute session and the Q&A that I'm doing is going to give you encouragement and motivation to make different and better moves in another direction. That's fine with me. It does not matter. So if you are interested in signing up for my 5 week Awaken Your True Mind program, and definitely reach out to me at this website. And we are going to definitely get started. So go ahead and sign up on that website for your 45-minute coaching session. And we are definitely going to get started. And I want to say thank you guys so much for joining me. I am your girl, Coach Tanya, and I'm out.